Hello, this is Team Quad Laser, and for our final presentation, we are bringing you the finished version of Mascot Mayhem. So moving right along to the project walkthrough, we're going to showcase some of the existing user functionality at the moment. So we're going to sign into a user that exists. So we're going to sign into Need account here. Sign in brings you to the homepage. Some big differences from last time we demoed. We now have a tutorial page up on the top right. Looking here, it describes a bit about the objectives of the game, what you can do on your turn, from drawing to playing effect cards, describing a bit about what the effect cards do, and also a bit about the attack mechanic as well. And also new to this version, we also have the region effectiveness. So very similar to something like Pokemon, where types are stronger than others. We have here different mascots and their regions happen to be stronger than other mascots in the regions. So for example, we have our Florida Gator here as the South mascot. And anytime the South mascot attacks the Midwest mascot, which is the Spartan here, it'll deal more damage. And vice versa, if Spartan tries to attack the Gator, it will also deal less damage. So just a bit of a additional addition to strategy. So have our rankings page here. The leaderboard is the same as last time, but we also have our achievements page. So now we have our 3 achievements here. Any achievements that you haven't earned yet are with a red background and a grayed out icon. And any that you have earned is blue and the little icon and a green background. You can also see here that there's a percentage value. So this is a percentage of players that have earned this achievement. So as you can see here, I have Scalebreaker, and only 16% of players have Scalebreaker, which is pretty exclusive. So profile page is the same as last time, your username, email, win count, and also the achievements at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up for a match and see it if you want to run through the new user experience.
Yep, so right here we have the sign up page. I've already inputted a fresh email and password. So let me go ahead and sign up, and that'll take me to the main game menu. Let me take a look at the profile page, and here we have my username, my email, win count of 0, and also no achievements since I just signed up. And now I'll queue up for a match with John. And it's my turn, so I'll go ahead and okay, there we go. So here's John's username. It just loaded in. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards. We have a few different mascot cards here, and this hover feature will show you the variables, so like HP, attack power, and also region. I can go ahead and play this card, and then it'll update here with the HP and the attack. We also have a buff card right here, and this takes up resources that we have right here. We also have a resource card right here. So I'll go ahead and play this, and this adds a value of 1 to our resource pool. So now we have 6. I'll also go ahead and play this buff type card, and that buffs my mascot. And I'll also draw a card, and there's a 1 card draw limit, so I can't draw anymore on this turn. And I drew a raise type card. So this will reduce the enemy resources by 3. So, and I can activate this with 2 resources, so I'll go ahead and do that as well. And since my opponent hasn't played a mascot card yet, I'll go ahead and end my turn.
So moving over to my screen. So on my end, it's currently my turn. I would have 5 resources, but Sid played a raise card, so now I only have 2. So I'm going to go ahead and play a mascot here. I'm going to play this one here. And I have a few resources as well, so I'm going to play my resources. You can see that this increments the resource pool, depending on how strong the resource card is. I'll go ahead and draw. I have a debuff card here that'll reduce his attack by 2 with 4 resources. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You can see that his attack power went down by 2. And then from there, I've used up all my turns, so I'm going to go ahead and attack. I don't really have a high attack, so it's only going to do 2 damage. And then I will switch back over to Seed's turn.
And on my screen, we have some of the effects that John did. So I have a lesser attack now. I'll go ahead and draw. And I got a raise type card. I have enough resources to activate it, so I'll go ahead and do that. And I'll also go ahead and attack since that's all I can do in this turn, and I'll end my turn and switch over to John.
So this is pretty much the normal game loop. You just go back and forth between playing cards, playing resource cards, attacking the other opponent, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and attack beforehand. I got a raise, so I'm going to go ahead and play that with my remaining resources. End my turn. Switch back over to Sid.
Yeah, and I'll just go ahead and play the turn. This is a debuff card. I can activate the 2 resources. I'll go ahead and do that, and I'll attack. And that destroys John's mascot, and that also reduces his health bar. And I'll end my turn and switch over to John's screen.
So on my hand, I happen to have a gator mascot. So if you remember from before, gator mascots, the South region is stronger than the Midwest region. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. Draw a card. I also got a buff card, so it's going to make it even stronger. But unfortunately, this card activates with 4 resources, and I only have 3. So I'm going to have to wait to use that. So I'm going to go ahead and attack. See that this is super effective, and it dealt even more damage from before, and it also reduced his health bar by 1. So back over to see it.
Yeah, back to my screen. My mascot's gone. I'll go ahead and draw a card. I got a debuff card, but first I'll go ahead and play a mascot card. I'll do this one since it has a higher attack power. I have enough resources to activate this, so I'll go ahead and debuff him. And I'll also attack him, and that was a super effective attack, and I also killed his second mascot, which means I win the game. And
Yep. So you can go ahead and quit from there. You can also see on my screen that I did not win. I lost, unfortunately. So go back over here. And I don't believe either of us managed to trigger any achievements this run through. But if we did, it would update on here and we'd be able to see the percentage value update and the screen turn from green and with the new icon. So that is the main run through of the finished version of Mascot Mayhem. So moving right along, we'll go ahead and talk a bit about our individual contributions. So we'll start with Sid. Sid.
yeah, so first we'll talk about the current sprint and final sprint that we're in. I completed a few things. I completed the region effectiveness logic for bells, which just decides if the attack between mascots is effective or not effective. I also implemented attack pop-up notifications for when the opponent is attacked by the opponent's mascot, and also effectiveness pop-up notifications, which indicate whether or not the attack was super effective or not effective. And in progress, we're preparing for our live presentation next week, and also I'm writing up the documentation for the project. Taking a look at my overall contributions to the project, I mainly focus on front-end features like mascot card development, displaying and updating information to the user, like the hover feature or the attack pop-up notifications. I also designed and implemented the logic for battle mechanics, such as the lose-win conditions and also the region effectiveness. I did a lot of refactoring at the start to the initial code base, so we could access and modify the variables of our phaser game objects, and I also had to mess around with the socket functions to be able to send over object variables between 2 clients using the socket functions. I also performed some security and vulnerability testing using VUlert to test for package vulnerabilities, and also using SNCC to test our code base security.
In this last sprint, I worked mainly on implementing the achievements functionality with John. I also attempted to do some front-end unit testing, but unfortunately couldn't get anything to play nicely with the phaser elements. And so we fell back on our backup plan of doing manual user testing in the game loop. And that's been very effective in finding and debugging issues. I also completed additional backend testing for new features that we added with the achievements. In progress, I'm working on code cleanup, final gameplay testing and debugging, and documentation. Overall, I've worked on the backend functionality and database creation, and this is specifically with the user details and achievements and recording of those details, retrieval of those details and modification. specialized query for the achievement percentage values. I've worked on the front-end game loop development, specifically with the resource card types and effect card types, their development and functionality, and also the card dealing mechanics and representation on the screen. I've done back-end testing for all the back-end functionality and manual front-end game loop user testing. And I've also kept up with the project over the semester with our initial Miro board sprint planning and upkeep, and also the sprint boards on GitHub during each of our sprints.
Okay, so in this recent sprint, I've had the opportunity to update the game board UI from our testing background to one that's more fitting of the theme that we had on the main menu and other pages. So I made a mock-up for that and then imported the assets and got that all carried over. I also developed the tutorial page. I had the chance to do some user research and get people actually playing the game. So that way I could fuel a proper tutorial to get beginners into the game. And I also had the opportunity to be able to deploy the code base online. So there is actually a URL out there that you can access this site, this game, on your own leisure. Also in progress, we're preparing for the live demonstration, me and Sid. And I am also overseeing any final features that might be implemented to the hosted version of the application, just in case we can make sure to get everything in before the demo. Overall, I was mainly responsible for the UI UX development and the fine tuning of the application, made the wireframes and mockups for the original experience, and also developed the game assets so they can be imported in all pages. I primarily worked on non-game scene implementation. So while others worked on the game board, I was more so responsible for the main menu, the profile, the queue, and ranking pages. I worked with Wes and Seth very closely to be able to get some of the back-end database queries, working with the front-end representations. And also, like I mentioned before, I worked a lot on the deployment feature. So I utilized Render to host the static site, the database server, and the socket server. So that way all that stuff can be accessed online. And I also edited some of the file placement and connection strings. That way all three pieces can work together.
So for this final sprint, my main tasks completed were implementing the leaderboard section of the rankings page, which involved retrieving the list of users from the backend database and then displaying them by top win count. And additionally, I created a backend functionality that allows a player's win count to be updated when they have won the match. I'm currently working on adding to the documentation, and additionally have some features I am planning to implement in the final days, including profile editing, a forgot password function, and some fixes to the game flow, like updating the win count if the other player forfeits early, and if a user exits the game early, the other user will also be removed after the you-win prompt is displayed. So overall, for the project, I made several front-end and back-end contributions. During the first weeks, I created the initial framework for the gameplay in Phaser, which included graphical functionality to display cards and zones, as well as interactivity, like being able to drag and drop cards. I also implemented the Node.js server framework using Express Socket.io libraries, which allows for the game's networking functionality through server sockets. And as mentioned before, I implemented the leaderboard page display on the front end and the functionality to update win count on the back end. For authentication, I was wholly responsible for implementing the Firebase system that handles the authentication of user accounts and the persistence of user sessions. And additionally, I created user interface and functionality for logging in and out of an account, as well as signing up for a new account. I was also responsible for maintaining consistent communication with our advisor throughout the semester. And this included tasks such as sending weekly status reports and project materials by email, as well as arranging for bi-weekly meetings over Zoom.
That is all we have for our presentation. Thank you very much.